Can you tell me a little bit about your diagnosis, please?
Yes. I have what you call CLL, which is chronic lymphocytic leukemia, and I've had it for close to 30 years. And it was very interesting the way I was diagnosed. My doctor kept bringing me back in for just regular checkups to look at my blood work, and I kept saying, "What are you looking for?" And he said, "Something's a little bit different," and they kept saying, "Nah, it's okay, don't worry about it." So, being the person I am, I got on the internet and started looking around at what this could be. And then I called, I think it was Uncle Warren, and I said to him, "I think I have leukemia." And he said, "That's possible because your father had it."
Mm-hmm.
And then I called a friend who was a leukemia specialist. This is a young doctor I knew. Actually, was as young as my age. And I said, "I've got a friend who has leukemia, and I need them to go see a specialist." And he referred me to a doctor at the Beth Israel Hospital.
Okay. And once you saw the doctor at Beth Israel, did it become apparent that you did, in fact, have leukemia?
Oh, right away he told me I had leukemia. He said you have CLL, which is very, very common, and you'll probably not die from it. Hold 1 second. Okay.
So you were talking to me about how it became apparent that you had CLL.
Right. So they told me that CLL is an adult cancer, and that most people don't die from it. It's just a slow-moving cancer, and I probably won't have to be treated for quite some time. So I stayed with this doctor, Beth Israel, until one day he said to me, "It's getting a little off hand. I think I need to send you to someone at Dana-Farber."
And at what point were you sent to Dana-Farber, and is that when you went through your first round of chemotherapy?
Yes. I actually went there after about, I guess it was maybe 13 years without having to do anything. And he referred me to a doctor who was absolutely fabulous. And then what happened was we talked about treatments and that I should go on chemo. But then the night, this is sort of an interesting story, but the night before I was supposed to start chemo, I was running that golf tournament for prostate cancer.
Uh-huh.
And I saw one of the doctors, was Dr. Kantoff, who was the big prostate cancer doctor at Dana-Farber. And I said to him, "I want to ask you a question. What's the difference between," I gave him two names, doctors. And he said to me, "You already found out?" And I said, "Found out what?" And he said, "Your doctor's leaving Dana-Farber next week." And I said, "And he's got the nerve to start with chemotherapy, and I have no doctor?" He said, "I'll find you someone." So he came the next morning, and we made the decision at that point to go see Annie Friedman.
Wow, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so obviously the chemo worked for a good amount of time, and then a few years back you decided, or it was decided that it wasn't working anymore. And how did this whole Ohio State study come up, and how did you know you were ready to really commit to it and go in for it?
Okay, that's a very important question to ask. I decided that the chemo, I was having chemo in Florida, and my numbers weren't changing. And I decided I wasn't going to continue this. So I called my doctor back at Dana-Farber and said to him, "I'm going to go to MD Anderson because maybe there's a different approach." And he said, "Please don't go there." He said, "They're too aggressive. I'll find you someone. Just hang tight for 1 week." So the next week, he called me. He said, "I want you going to Ohio." And I said, "The Cleveland Clinic?" He said, "No, Columbus." I said, "Columbus? What does Columbus know about medicine?" He said, "I want you to see a young doctor there. He's really outstanding, and I think I can get you in his study." So he says it's a trial, but he says if the chemo's not working, this is the only choice we have.
And you were one of the first to undergo this trial, correct?
I was in, what happened when I went to Ohio, and I took Aunt Janet with me because I needed someone to write some good notes,
Mm-hmm.
is we saw him on a Wednesday, I believe it was, very late in the afternoon, like 5 o'clock, and we were there till probably 7, 8 o'clock at night. And he said to me that he was going to try to get me in the study. The problem was the study was closed. They were on phase 1 of the study, and they thought that he could really work with the pharmaceutical company and get me in the study. And he said, but there's a big commitment. You have to come out here. Now it's every week and eventually a little bit later, but it means a huge commitment. But he says, I can give you, what do you want? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, how much you want of your life, I can give it to you. So I went back to Boston, and I got a phone call Saturday, late afternoon, from this doctor saying he had been on the phone all day with a pharmaceutical company telling them that I need to get on the study. And then he called back to tell me that they have the information that they're going to put one more person on the study. So I was very excited, and I was going to go out the following Wednesday. And then I got a phone call Monday saying, sorry, everything's off. I said, what did I do? And he said, there's a weight regulation, and you're too light at this point. I had lost a lot of weight, and you're too light, so therefore you can't be on the study. So I said, well, all the studies I read about, there was never a weight element. And he said, you happen to be right, and we're going to work on this. It's going to take us about 2 months. We can't wait. I'm going to put you on another experimental drug, but you'll be the second person in the whole world on this drug. And I said, I don't think my family is going to appreciate that because that's not a very good number. And he says, well, there's nothing else we can do for you. So I tried that drug, and I was out there for 10 days at a time. I had to go back like twice a month. Mm-hmm. And the drug worked beautifully and got my numbers down. And then 2 months later, they got me on the real study.
And that's when you started going out to Ohio once a week for 6 months?
No, in the beginning, when I started in June, and I was going I'd go out and spend 10 days there, come home for maybe a few days, and then go back out again for 10 days. And then they were able to get it down to, I was going out just like for a week, like every other week. And then when they turned me over the new drug, it was a totally different situation. I had to come out once a week, and then it became once a month, and then now every 3 months.
Now that the drug that you currently take is FDA approved, do you still understand why you go out to Ohio once every 3 months, or do you feel like Dana-Farber could?
It's a great question, because I can get the drug here, but no one's going to watch me the way this doctor does, and he knows me better than anybody else. And if the drug stops working on me, then he knows exactly what he's going to do with me. So I'm on what they call a longevity study. They're trying to find out how long people can actually stay on this drug. Mm-hmm. And it's really a nuisance. I mean, yesterday was just a horrible day again. We left the house at 8 o'clock in the morning, around 11 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. And we just keep saying, we can't do this, we can't do this. But in the meantime, he's keeping me alive, so we just keep doing it.
Right. Well, thank you so much.
And the real reason I went into this originally was my attitude was my father had CLL, which he died of. Uh-huh. And I thought that if it is in my family history, then I want to be able to find a drug that will save my children, my grandchildren, if they have that problem. Uh-huh. So I was willing to give my time and my effort to this doctor who is, by the way, he's receiving the highest award in December, I think, for the most outstanding hematologist. I think they might be in the world, I'm not sure. And although I'm really not sure I got to go read more about what his honor is going to be. But, to be part of his study is just so important to me, and that's why it's not very convenient getting there, but we're willing to keep helping him.
Right. That makes total sense. Well, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.